I'm Anna, Brazilian, and this is my first ever sailing trip.
And I'm Tyson, an Aussie, grew up on a boat travelling around the world. We are sailing down the Queensland coast of Australia, living on board a catamaran while working from home. Subscribe and jump into our off-the-wall adventures.
We're going shopping late on Saturday that we should. We're going shopping on a Saturday when we should be sailing. We have garlic cut, $4. Únicos supermercados da ilha. We got our supermarket. We got yakisoba, tacos,
Burgers, chicken,
and chocolate. No. What else did you get, Ty?
a bit of alcohol. Number 2. Plan with plenty of spare time. Learn how things work. Weather changes, stuff can go wrong. Believe us. We estimated this trip to take 8 hours in a beautiful straight line. And here is us, 8 hours later. Not in a beautiful straight line, but in a horrible zigzag due to weather conditions and beating to windward. What do you think of today, We didn't have much time left to get into our destination at the end of our trip, which was crossing a sandbar. That's why I called the Coast Guard to check the conditions. They had no idea, so we needed to go with Plan B. We kept on going and headed up to Mosbury River. By the time we arrived, it was pitch darkness. We made it inside the harbour safely, but unfortunately, that was not the end of our mistakes for that night.
There you go! 5 feet! Don't lose it! Okay. Time to stop singing. Yeah! Oh no! I can't believe it! Oh my god! Gonna have sashimi tonight!
So not only did I lose that last fish, I also managed to cut open my foot somehow as well. Luckily this time I got my gloves, got my life jacket, I got my bag to put it into, and I had a plan of what to do.
Super excited for this fresh tuna! Meu Deus! Ai, que delícia! After having such a bad day and night at the start, once we arrived to our destination, we kind of forgot about all the problems that we just had, at least for a moment.
That's one of the things I love about sailing. You can be in the middle of your worst nightmare, 13-hour days, bashing to windward, getting in after dark, and then the next day, you're posted up on a tropical island, covered in palm trees, sipping on beer, throwing up a hammock between trees, and just watching the sunset. Paradise.
What is Brazilian style taking?
A little bit at a time as it gets cooked.
What are you making?
Tacos! Taco Tuesday! It's cold trap. Alright, I'm gonna try Brazilian style.
How is it?
Delicioso!
Tyson pescou esses peixes na nossa última ida para o Rio. Some tacos are coming. Very nice.
You look so good in the morning light, reflections in my mind. Missing the fights, I don't care if I'm right, let's just buy it.
What are you doing?
Making a big mess.
I
So
can
this is
see
our
the mess.
anchor winch.
I brought you coffee
Woo!
to keep you working.
We're just cleaning the carbon brushes. I'm gonna make them a bit longer, so hopefully we get a better connection on our anchor winch, and we don't have to pull it up by hand, which would be really, really shit.
Yeah, we had an issue with the anchor winch 2 nights ago, which was not fun.
No, about 8 o'clock at night we were trying to anchor, and it didn't work at all. And there doesn't seem to be a manual way to drop the anchor on this boat. If anyone knows how to use this anchor winch manually, please let us know. Even though this is probably going to be a month before we get this video finished. No. We may have slightly undersold that night on the boat and how scary it really was. Probably some of the worst weather when we left Fitzroy Island, 25 knots to windward, big waves coming over the boat for 12 hours. Arriving in pitch darkness.
Yeah, that was not fun. We laugh now. It was pretty scary, especially for me.
The anchor winch just would not work at all. So I was trying to fix it, get on the phone, get Anna to steer the boat while I was trying to fix it. Started to panic at some point.
Yeah. Some crying happening.
Yeah.
And
Eventually we just had to lower the anchor by hand, by the chain. But it gets better from here. Woo! I said, obrigado e café, meu amorzinho. Meu lindo amorzinho.
Linda.
Linda, pô. Hello, welcome to my channel.
The anchor winch works.
Works.
Yeesh. And here we are, one more paradise in the Queensland coast. Unfortunately, what used to be a beautiful resort was destroyed in 2011 from a cyclone. Many buildings were ripped apart and only a few caretakers can be seen nowadays. Although the man-made structures are abandoned, the nature is still breathtaking.
Captain Anna, alright, get your socks. Super cool. Once we'd explored everything that Dunk Island had to offer, and we got our anchor winch 100% working, we knew it was time to head off. We had to leave the safety of Dunk Island behind and make like a missile and cruise. For the planning of this trip, we left ourselves plenty of time, so we arrived at Zoe Bay in daylight. we were greeted by gorgeous scenery. However, that was not the end of our problems for this trip. Firstly, let me tell you some basics about anchoring. Now, there's plenty of good resources out there, and anchoring can be pretty complicated. But here's some basics to get you started. Firstly, try and anchor in a 7-to-1 ratio. That is 7 meters of length to 1 meter of depth that you anchor in. Secondly, make sure you reverse the boat once you have anchored and let it settle in. And lastly, no lee shores. Sounds pretty basic. Try and anchor behind stuff, not in front. So if your anchor does drag, you don't end up on the rocks. Or in this case, with waves bashing against the boat all night and a very grumpy Anna in the morning.
Even after a very bad night of sleep, getting the wind straight on us the whole time. Yeah, really worth it when I woke up at a place like this.
Beautiful rainforest, Zoe Falls. Actually green, not orange.
Hinchinbrook National Park should be visited by everyone who enjoys nature and adventure. There is an option where you can be dropped by a boat at Hamsay Bay and do a 4-day hiking/camping trip to get to this incredible moveset scenery. But on a boat, the only thing that we needed to take was an uncomfortable night of sleep and 20-minute hike uphill. Once we arrived at the top, it was just a different feeling that we can't describe. Yeah, the video speaks for itself. Oh my god.
Chocolate.
Tell her.
Tell her. So, what happened?